For this project, you're going to need a end hook or 9mm crochet hook, and also a smaller crochet hook for the finer details. And this one is a G hook or a 4mm crochet hook, and your pair of scissors and your tapestry needle. And then also I have these Lamode buttons that I'm going to sew on for the eyes. And then I have these favorite findings, and these are little snowflakes that I'm going to use for the buttons on the snowman. And then here I have for the nose these cute little neon stud my buttons. And then for the cheeks, I have these favorite findings buttons. They have a variety of different colors, and I'm going to use the pink color for the cheeks. And then also I have tons of yarn that I'm using for, that's by Red Heart, Super Saver, love this stuff. And this one is the soft white for the body of the pot holder. And then I have red and green. This is the Red Heart Super Saver Hunter Green. And this is a Red Heart Super Saver Cherry Red. And then I just have the regular black. This is Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo. And this one's the black color. For the hat, you're going to need these sweet treats. And they have these cute little red, look like cherries or apples, and the green leaves there. It's going to look like the mistletoe for the hat. All right, so we're going to start with the magic circle. So you're just going to take the yarn and just loop it across your 4 fingers, and then thumb is going to be used to stabilize it, and just wrap it around your middle fingers twice, and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. And then just take your end hook or 9mm crochet hook, and you're going to go under the 2 loops on your middle fingers, yarn over, and then you're going to yarn over, and then go under that first loop for your first knot. And then we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. So you're going to go under the loop, yarn over, then you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over, go through 2 for 1, two, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you have 6 single chains. You can go ahead and take your forefinger and thumb and grip it at the bottom of your 6 single chains, and you have these 2 loops on the side. You're going to grab one of them and pull on it. And if it doesn't pull, you let go and pull on the other one. But this one's closing, so go ahead and grab the loop that was closing and just close your loop loosely for now. You don't want to make it too tight. And then take your loose strand and pull on that to close the magic circle. You can pull it tighter later, but for now you don't want it too tight because you want to be able to work into your single chains. So now you're going to take and do 2 single chains into each stitch. So in the first stitch, you're going to yarn over, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through both loops on the hook for your first single chain, and then you're going to go into that same stitch and you're going to do another single chain, so 2 single chains in each stitch all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, so that's 4 single chains. Next stitch, 1, 2, for a total of 6. And then the next stitch, 1, 2, for a total of 8. 1, 2 for a total of 10. And then your last stitch, 1 and 2. So now you have 12 stitches and your work should look like this. So now we're going to get a yarn marker, and I always just use some of my extra yarn that I have hanging down and just cut off a little bit of it. But they do have yarn markers too that some people like to use, but I just use my little yarn scraps and just put that right where I left off. And now we're going to do increase rounds. So for this round, you're going to do 1 single chain into the next stitch, and then you're going to do 2 single chains into the next stitch. 1, 2. So you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around until you get back to your yarn marker. So I'll do one more with you. Do 1 single chain, and then you do 2 single chains in the next stitch. So go ahead and do 1 single chain in one stitch and 2 single chains in the next stitch all the way around, back to your yarn marker, and then come back and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so this is how your work looks. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and we're going to move it up to the next row, and this is going to be another increase round. So you're going to do 1 single chain in the next 2 stitches, and then you're going to do 2 single chains. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and the next stitch, 1 single chain, and then in the next stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains in the same stitch, 1 and 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. This is how your work looks now. We're going to do another increase round. So go ahead and get your yarn marker and move it up to the next row, and you're going to do 1 single chain in the next 3 stitches and then do 2 single chains. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, next stitch, 1 single chain, next stitch, 1 single chain, and then in the fourth stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains, 1 and then 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker, 1 single chain in the next 3 stitches, and then 2 single chains in your fourth stitch. Okay, so you should be back to your yarn marker. You can go ahead and take your yarn marker out, and you're going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So just go into the next stitch, and then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull it through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch. And then you're going to finish off. So you're going to yarn over and pull through, and then just pull enough to bury into your work. Now you're going to make 1 more of these. This is going to be the head of the snowman. And then go ahead and go up to this point for the body, and then I'm going to start with the body next. Alright, so you should have finished the 2 for the head, and these are going to go together for the head when we're ready for that portion. But for now, we're going to do the body, so you can set these aside. And for the body, you should be right up to the same point as you were for one of your heads. So that means that you had 1 single chain in 3, and then 2 single chains in the 3rd stitch. So now we're going to do another increase round for the body, and you're just going to take your yarn marker, move it where you left off, and we're going to do 1 single chain in 4. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and second stitch, 1 single chain, third stitch, 1 single chain, fourth stitch, 1 single chain. And then in the 5th stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains in the same stitch. 1 and 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker and come back and I'll show you the next step. You should be back and this is what your work should look like. And we're going to do another increase round. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it to where you left off. And we're going to do 1 single chain in the next 5 stitches and then do 2 single chains in the 6th stitch. So in the next stitch, just do 1 single chain. 2nd stitch, 1 single chain. 3rd stitch, 1 single chain. 4th stitch, 1 single chain. 5th stitch, 1 single chain. And then in the 6th stitch, we're going to do 2 single chains in the same stitch. 1 and 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off and we're going to do another increase round. So now you're going to do 1 single chain in the next 6 stitches and then do 2 single chains in the 7th stitch. So in the next stitch, you're just going to do 1 single chain. 2nd stitch, 1 single chain. 3rd stitch, 1 single chain. 4th, 1. 5th, 1. 6th, 1. And then in the 7th stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains. 1, 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should be back at your yarn marker. So this is as big as I'm going to make this hot pad. So in the next stitch, you're just going to do a slip stitch. So go ahead and go into the next stitch, yarn over, and then just pull the yarn back through both loops on the hook. And then you're going to finish off. Go ahead and yarn over and just pull through and just leave enough yarn to sew into your work. Okay, and then you're going to make 1 more of these and then come back and then I'll show you how to make the arms. So you should have finished the 2 parts for the body and then you have the 2 for the head. So now we're going to do the arms. So I've already finished one. I'm going to show you how to do an arm. You're going to go ahead and take your yarn and we're going to do the magic circle. So go ahead and drape the yarn across your 4 fingers and you can use your thumb to stabilize and then just wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers twice and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb and then just take your end 9mm crochet hook, go under the 2 loops, yarn over and then pull underneath the 2 loops on the middle fingers and then yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop on your hook and that's your knot. And then we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. So just go under the 2 loops, yarn over, 2 single chains on the hook, yarn over, 1, 2 loops on the hook yarn over, go through both loops, 2 single chains, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then go ahead and hold with your forefinger and thumb, hold at the base of the 6 single chains, and then you have these 2 loops on the opposite side. You're going to pull on one. If it doesn't close, let go, and then pull on the other one. But this one's closing, so I'm going to pull on that and pull it closed loosely. You can always close it tight later. And then take the other end of the yarn and pull on that. And then your work should look like this. we're going to do 2 single chains into each stitch around the circle. So in the first stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains. So yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, 1, same stitch, 2, next stitch, 2 single chains, 1, 2, and that's 4 single chains total, 1, 2, for a total of 6 single chains, 7, 8, 1, 2, total of 10 single chains, and the last one, 1 and 2. So you have 12 single chains in your circle. So now you're going to get your yarn marker and just put it in place where you left off, and you're just going to do 1 single chain in each stitch around. So just 1 single chain in every stitch around, and you're going to do that for 4 rows, and when you're done, come back and I'll show you the next step. So you should have completed 4 rows, and you can see from my yarn marker we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to do a slip stitch. So into the next stitch you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull it through both loops on the hook, and then you're going to finish off. So you yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook, and then pull enough yarn to sew onto your project. And you can see on your arm you have the center yarn piece that you used for your magic circle, and you can pull on that to tighten up the little, if your circle is still open on the end, just pull on that and that'll close it up nicely. And then you can cut that little strand to make it a little bit shorter, but don't cut it too short because it'll just help it from so it won't unravel. And then you put that on the inside of the arm. And this is the outside of the arm. And so we have all our pieces here that we're going to sew together for the snowman. So let's go ahead and sew the body together first. So on your body, you either have the long end of the yarn that you left for sewing, or you can just get some yarn to thread onto your tapestry needle to sew the pieces together. And then you're just going to take the 2 pieces, and with the center yarn that you started with the magic circle, you're going to leave on the inside. And the same thing with the other piece. You're going to leave those so that they're on the inside of the hot pad. And then you can take the little piece that was left over on your previous hot pad and then line them up together so you can tie a knot. And I just like to tie it 3 times. And then you're just going to take your pieces and take your tapestry needle, and you're just going to superficially sew the 2 ends together like this. And you're just going to do that all the way around your work. And when you're done, just come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I'm back to where I started after sewing my pieces together, and I'm just going to tie a knot here at the end. And then you have a nice, thicker hot pad. And then you just have to decide where you want to sew the head on. So now you're just going to go ahead and sew the head together the same way that you did the body. Just make sure that the end that has the loose yarn in the center from the magic circle stays on the inside. And you can see how I have a little bit of a hole still open. I can close that up, which is what I love about the magic circle. And same thing on the other side. Just close that up nicely, and then you can keep these on the inside, the yarn piece. Put your pieces together, and I'm going to line up the two pieces so I can tie a knot at the top. Okay, so you can go ahead and get the two pieces for the head, and I've already started a little bit sewing the pieces together along the edges, but you don't want to sew it all the way together yet because we're going to put the face on it. So you're going to need your sewing needle, and you're also with your regular sewing needle and some white thread, and also your tapestry needle with some black yarn threaded onto it for the mouth. So the first thing you're going to do is just kind of place where you're going to put the eyes for the snowman, and then also your nose. The nose should go right in the center, and I would put the nose on with the pointy end facing up for the nose, and then on the back it has little snaps that you push through. Be careful you don't poke yourself, and then you're going to have to fold those snaps down with your scissors or with the end of your scissors, or with your fingernail if you have one. If you don't have a fingernail, then you can just use your scissors to help fold those down on the back. Yeah, because this one's a little bit different. It has little snaps on the back that just fold down, but it stays on really snug. So as long as you get the back end folded in, they're little tiny spokes that you fold in. And then you have a cute little nose there. And then you're going to place your eyes. Put your eyes where you want them and then sew them in place. And then you're also going to put the little rosy cheeks and sew the rosy cheeks on. And then you're going to sew with your black tapestry needle, you're going to sew a little smiley face along one of the curves there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that myself and then come back and show you what my face looks like. And you can go ahead and get started on yours or wait until I'm done to see how mine looks. Okay, so you should have your face sewn on, and you can see where I placed my eyes, about 2 down, and then there's 4 spaces, stitches between each of the eyes, and then the nose was in the center, and then the cheeks about 2 in on both sides, and they're both even. And then I just did the mouth along the edge of the circle here between the cheeks. And now you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to go ahead and thread it on to the yarn that you're going to use to sew the head on and sew the head shut. So you're going to finish sewing the head together. Just superficially grabbing the stitch. And you're going to do that all the way around, but you're also going to take the head and place it where you want it on the body. And as you're closing it, you're also going to sew the bottom portion on each side. Just fold it, open it up, make sure all the loose ends of the yarn are in the middle, and then just line up that bottom stitch and the top stitch and sandwich it with the body, and then just sew it on the body as you're going around. Okay, you want to make sure that the face is straight on the body as you're sewing. And I'm just going to go into the body and the head and just make sure that I go out the back side of the head. Just make sure you don't get tangled. And then just make sure that your head is lined up on the body and that your face is straight, and then just keep sewing it through the body and the back of the head. And then come back when you finish sewing it all together, all the way back to the top. Okay, so you should have finished sewing on the head to your work and making sure that the edges were sewn all the way around, and this is how your project should be looking. And whatever loose ends that you have left over, just bury those into your work. So just take your tapestry needle and just bury it in, making sure that you don't go through the front where you can see, just through the center. And then just cut those loose ends so you don't have any loose ends on your work. And now you're just going to sew on the arms. So go ahead and place your arms, and then just take your tapestry needle and sew that onto your work. So I'm going to take one of the arms and I'm going to sew it about 2 stitches down from the head, 1, 2, and that's where it's going to line up. So go ahead and take your tapestry needle make sure you don't lose your spot, and then take your thread that's already on the arm itself or your new thread that you cut, and then just go through the body. And then you're going to come up through the arm, and then just go through the arm and the body exactly where you want to have it placed on the pot holder. And when you're done, go ahead and do that with the other arm, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so this is how your work should look. Your arms should be sewn on nicely, and they're about 2 stitches down on both sides. And make sure that they're both on good and the head's on good. And now we're just going to put the buttons. So you're going to need your needle, sewing needle, and some white thread. And you're going to take your snowflake buttons, and then you're going to sew them where you want to place them on your pot holder. So I'm going to put one right in the center of the circle. So I'm going to sew mine about 2 stitches down from the head is the first one, and then another 2 stitches and directly in the center I'm going to put the other snowflake, and then about 2 stitches down, I'm going to put the third one, and I'm going to make it directly down the line. So go ahead and take your needle, and then these snowflakes are nice because the buttonholes are right on the center of the snowflake. Okay, so I just realized that these snowflakes are nice, but you're going to need one of your smaller sewing needles so it can fit through the little holes on the snowflake. So you can see it'll fit through, but just make sure you have a smaller sewing needle so it'll fit through, and then go ahead and sew your snowflake buttons on your snowman. Okay, so you should have sewed on the snowflakes, and this is how your work looks right now. So now we're going to go ahead and do the hat. So go ahead and set the pot holder to the side, and you're going to get the black yarn. And we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch. So you're just going to take and just fold the yarn over, just like that. And then take your G hook, or 4mm hook, put it through the loop, and then just hold it in place with your middle finger and thumb. And then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and just go through the loop on your hook for a slip knot. And then you're going to chain however big you want your hat. You can measure it on your snowman. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can kind of just measure. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger. 11, 12, 13, 14. And that looks like a good size hat. So I'm going to do, that was 14. Then I'm going to chain 1, and then turn the work over, and then you're going to go into each stitch back and do 1 single chain. So yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both, go into the next stitch, yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, and pull through. So go ahead and go all the way to the end, and then I'll show you how to turn and do the next row. So do 1 single chain in every stitch. Okay, so I'm almost at the last stitch, so you can see my last stitch there. I'm going to go ahead and go into that stitch, my last stitch, yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, last single chain. So I'm going to do another single chain, and then turn your work. And here you can see that there's a little bit of an upslope right there. We're not going to go into there. You're going to go into the next stitch, and you're going to do a single chain. So you go into the next stitch, yarn over, 2 loops on the hook, and do a single chain. And you're going to do a single chain back all the way across, and you're going to do that for 2 more rows, and then come back and I'll show you what to do. Alright, so I'm reaching the end of my 4th row, and I have my last stitch that I'm going to go into, and then yarn over and do my last single chain. And now we're going to finish off. Go ahead and yarn over and pull through and leave enough that you can sew into your work later. And this is how your work looks. And now we're going to do the top hat. Okay, so now you're going to go into the 5th stitch from the right side. So you're going to count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go ahead and put your hook through that stitch. And then we're going to take the yarn and thread it through that 5th stitch. Might help to put the hook upside down. And then you're going to do a single chain. And then you're going to turn it over and just tie a knot on the back. And then you're going to bury your work, the loose yarn in as you work. And you're going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, you're going to do a single chain, and you're going to do one single chain in the next 6 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to chain 1 and turn. And you can go ahead and cut that loose yarn in that you were sewing into the middle. And now you're going to do into the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain. And just do 1 single chain all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, and in that last 6th stitch, and it looks like this so far. So go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, and then you're going to do another single chain in every stitch across. So go into the next stitch, and I'm just showing you every step by step because the yarn is a darker yarn, but we're only doing single chains. Next one, 2, single chain, next stitch 3, single chain, next stitch 4, single chain, next stitch 5, single chain, and then the 6th stitch, another single chain. And you can see the top hat forming as you work. Go ahead and take a single chain and turn your work. And we're going to do another 6 single chains across. And you can go ahead and keep doing that until you get the height of the top hat that you want. And then come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I finished 7 rows for my top hat. So now I'm going to finish off. Go ahead and yarn over and pull the yarn through and just leave enough for sewing into the work. And you can see your nice top hat that's going to go on. You're going to sew this onto your snowman. But first, you're just going to go ahead and get your mistletoe button. And then we're going to sew that onto the hat. Go ahead and place it where you want to sew it on. And then just take your sewing needle and some white thread and go ahead and sew that on. And then take your tapestry needle to sew all your loose ends into your work and then come back. Okay, so you should have your top hat all looking really nice. So now we're just going to sew it onto our snowman. So you can go ahead and place your hat wherever you would like for the snowman. And then just take your tapestry needle with the black yarn, and then you're just going to sew that onto the snowman. And then when you're done, come back. So this is how our nice little snowman pot holder is looking. Now we're going to make the scarf for the snowman. So go ahead and get your red and green yarn, and then you're going to hold them together like this. And we're going to use our end hook, or 9mm crochet hook, and we're going to do a slip stitch. And how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to make a loop just like that, loop it over, and then put your hook through the loop, and you're going to hold with your middle finger and thumb just like that. Then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then go through the loop on the hook, and then pull it tight for a slip knot. And now you're going to chain however long you want the scarf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're going to keep chaining, and you're going to make this beautiful scarf. And then you're going to have the scarf go around the head of the snowman and then rest along here. So go ahead and chain how long you want to have your scarf, or wait until I'm done, and then I'll show you how long I made mine and how I placed it on the snowman. Alright, so I did 50 single chains, and I think that's a nice length for the scarf that I'm going to put on my snowman. And so now I'm going to finish off. So what you're going to do is just take and yarn over, and then just pull out enough yarn for the end of your scarf. Go ahead and cut that, and then you're just going to pull that tight into a knot, and then you're going to leave the tassels on the end, and you can make sure that they're even if you like. So mine's a little bit longer, so I'm just going to cut the end and make them even. And then you're just going to tie the scarf onto the neck of the snowman, and you can see the back. And now you're just going to take your red yarn, and then you're going to put that onto your tapestry needle. And you're going to take the tapestry needle, and you're just going to sew the scarf into place, because you don't want it moving around. So you're going to sew the scarf into place how you want it, and then also sew it down on the sides also, so they're off to the side like that. And then when you're done, come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, and then you have your finished product. You can see how I sewed the scarf into place. And if you have any loose yarn ends, go ahead and just sew those in to the work, and then you're done with your project.